I've listened to you for several years and was able to visit the Trinity Church. Great. My wife and I are preparing to have children. My father-son relationship was not a good one. Sadly, that's very common. I feel God's calling on me to be a good father, to be a good spiritual leader for my family. Since I've listened to your messages and hearing all the dynamics that go into raising good, godly, loving children and hearing all the pitfalls many fathers fall into, it has scared me to death. How many of you identify with that? You're like, I want to have a kid. What should I do? What? That's too much, right? You start reading the Bible and you realize your responsibilities. What's the best advice you could give someone in my circumstances? So here's the situation, babe. Somebody feels like they want to be a parent, but they're scared. And you guys need to know that, at least for millennials, younger folks, this is the issue. The two primary issues statistically for millennials: they want to get married, but they're scared because they grew up in a broken home. Two, they want to have kids, but they're scared because they grew up in a broken home. So many millennials have these desires that are commingled with fears, which is why they tend to statistically be attracted to multi-generational churches, because they want to see people that are older and learn from them. And so for those of you who are older, maybe you do love your spouse, you do love your kids, your grandkids, you need to know that your life experience is absolutely invaluable. And you're here to help people like that by giving them some encouragement from your life, positive and negative, and also to give them hope, because they've not seen people who stayed married or raised their kids. But that being said, honey, how would you encourage someone who, they have a desire to be a parent, but there's a lot of fear that comes in with that?
Well, I would say first, examine your own heart. And if there's any bitterness or hurt that still remains from your relationship with your father, that will inhibit your relationship with any children you have. So find healing in that first and ask the Lord to dig up that root of bitterness if there is any. If you need any to meet with a pastor or counselor, do that. Do whatever it takes to really heal up from whatever wounds you have. And then as you're loving your child, as Mark talked about today, it really is about relationship. And it's easy to, at least for me as a mom, it was easy to give a lot of rules and try and keep the kids in line and be more of a red light parent, I guess. But to dig in and actually have that relationship and stop in those moments when you feel tired and just overwhelmed, you need to stop in those moments. Ask the Lord for strength and just say, the relationship is most important. What can I teach my child in this moment? Not just how can my child obey in this moment. So the relationship is super important. Whatever you need to do to have that relationship and get time. I see such a difference in each of our relationships with our kids even. They need both relationships, because we both have something to give to our children.
And the relationship it's with the family, but it's also individually, because if you have multiple kids, the kids are all different. Different seasons of life, different personalities, different strengths, different struggles. And so when they're little, you can just sort of treat them like a herd and you're playing zone defense, right? You're just trying to make sure they're all alive and eventually get to some bed. But it's getting to know them individually and building a relationship with them individually. And so for this person, I think it is, forgiving the relationship with the father if there's any bitterness there. Receiving God as loving father, parental, that'll bring healing. And you understand yourself as God's child, and then really caring about and investing in the relationship with the child that God gives you. And you want that relationship to continue, and that relationship will transition as they get older, but that relationship should be secure and should be consistent. And I think, too, if we're just honest with our kids growing up, saying, I did that wrong, apologizing, repenting when we make a mistake. Saying, I should have been harder on that issue, and as a result, you don't take it seriously, but we need to readdress that. As you're honest with your own kids about your own failures along the way as a parent, and we all have them, the children know that they are loved, and they know that your intent is for their well-being and for their good. And I believe there's a lot of grace that comes there if the child just knows you love me and you're trying your best, and we're going to make some course corrections in the context of the relationship. But for this person, the want to precedes the how to. If you really want to be a good parent, the want to is the big issue. The how to you can learn, and God the Holy Spirit will help you learn it in relationship with your kid. And there's books and seminars and things that can help, and godly people in the church family. But at the end of the day, for me, if someone has the how to, I feel very confident that God will help them learn the want to. It's when somebody says, I don't really want a relationship with my kids. I don't really feel close to my kids. I don't really want to be inconvenienced by my kids. That's where I get very concerned because the want to is not there. Once the want to is there, the how to can fall into place.